And we are live. Welcome back to the LFC Transfer Room YouTube channel and Twitter. I'm joined today by Charlie, Owen, and Anthony. First of all, how are we, fellas? Have we recovered from last night yet?
No, I'm still a bit. I'm less mad than I was, but I think it's just rookie. Like it's just so much. We didn't need to concede 3 goals. Like yeah, I'm sure we'll get into each goal, but it's just it still hasn't settled in yet.
No, definitely not. Anthony, how are you feeling, mate?
Yeah, same as Charlie, but looking on the brighter side of things, we're still top of the league and undefeated, going invincible this season, hopefully.
Owen, how are you doing, mate?
Yeah, it's 2 points dropped, isn't it, really? I think I see on Twitter that later on in the season we'll only know whether it's a good point or a bad point, really.
Yeah, definitely. It is one of those. Make sure to get your comments in when you are watching. So we'll start off with the glaring thoughts on Liverpool's defensive issues. Charlie, you did the watch along yesterday. Where did all the problems come from?
Joel Matip, the amount of times he left Trent exposed. Mainly it was at the third goal where Trent had 3 players on him at the back post. Where's Matip there? Honest to God, I'm think it's time to give Konate a go and see. I know it's 2 games, but he was shocking against AC Milan, and he was shocking today as well. Again, but Andy Robertson was terrible as well. The whole back four was dreadful, if we're being honest. I think you can sort of let Trent off a tiny bit because Matip was extra bad. But Robertson was just losing his players all the time. Ivan Toney absolutely bullied Matip all game. I thought Matip was meant to be good in the air. The amount of headers he lost to Toney was crazy. Like it was a bit pathetic to watch, but I'd say Matip was the main source, and Robertson. Them two were dreadful yesterday.
Oh, the reason why Marty was muted there. I don't think, I think Matip was poor yesterday, and we have to acknowledge that. But there has been games as well this season where he's been, unreal. Anthony, is it time for Matip to move on, or have you still got faith in the Cameroonian?
I've still got faith in him. I think he's probably the second or third best defender in the league, to be honest, behind Diaz and Van Dijk. But I think it's good for Klopp to have that option to kind of rotate anyway. So whether he wants to pick Gomez one week or Konate, as Charlie mentioned, I wouldn't be too fussed. They're not exactly far in terms of quality from each other. So, but I think you are being a bit harsh on him saying we should drop him. But yeah.
I'm sure he won't play for the Champions League games, and I'm sure we'll move on to Porto a bit later. But yeah, we've got a comment here, Owen, and I'd like to hear your thoughts on this. Set pieces were dreadful as well. We've got a very good record from set pieces this season, but there is a quote from Charlie, I believe, in the watch along that's saying, "For a team who scores so much from corners, we're very bad at corners."
Trent, man, I can't be dealing with Trent and Robertson hitting the face, man, every 2 corners.
But yeah, Owen, in terms of set pieces, do you think, there's improvements to be made, especially after the takers were somewhat poor?
Yeah, definitely. I think Robertson was horrendous at corners. He has been for ages. Shimaka's has been unbelievable, but Robertson seemed can't to take one to save his life at all. I'd definitely stay with free kicks as well. Trent, yeah, I think it's time we get someone else on free kicks because it's just not. I can't remember the last time he tested the goalkeeper. I really can't. I was saying get Curtis Jones on there, get Fabinho, even Salah. But yeah, definitely. I think we need to get a new option there, to be honest with you.
Yeah, speaking of the free kicks, remember that free kick that we got right on the edge of the box? Salah was arguing with Trent to take it until he took the corner. And Trent stutters before he does it and then keeps running up and just skies it over the bar. It's time to take him off corners. Now I agree with not corners, free kicks. Like the last one he had a good one was the Chelsea game where he scored. Give it to Virgil for all I care, but just give Trent a bit of a break.
And that free kick you're mentioning was definitely a left footer's free kick.
Definitely.
You had to have a left footer on that. I've seen Mo take them before. They haven't been great either, but he may as well give him a go. He has improved dramatically over the last few years, so why the hell not? But on to our positives. I will start off with Diogo Jota's goal, Anthony. For a player who is not the tallest, he's a wonderful header of the ball.
Yeah, he reminds me a bit of Mane, to be honest. Like, they're just such small players, but in the air, they're fantastic. He's another one who, as much as kind of the whole team played average, I'd say he was one of the standout players. He's always driving defenders, and he's just obviously a fantastic option to have.
Yeah, it's not often we say that about Jota because it's usually sort of a goal scoring and ghost effectively a smash and grab. But I do agree with you actually. And what were your thoughts on Jota yesterday?
I thought he was good, to be fair. Yeah, better than the last couple of games. But still, obviously missed that chance where Raya made that unbelievable save, to be fair. But it was still one you would have expected him to score. I think it's Manny we need to be talking about, to be honest with you. I think we haven't seen him be anywhere near his levels for a long, long time now. His decision making has been poor, so poor. Every time he gets in those positions, he keeps making mistakes, doing the wrong thing, and I really don't know what's going on there. It's very, very worrying.
It is weird, isn't it? Because he should be scoring a lot more than he is. However, Mane has got a very good record. I think in the last 15 games, he's got 13 GNA for club and country. So that's not a bad record for someone who's out of form. And it shows that the fact that we are frustrated with him shows that he is so capable of so much more.
Yeah, definitely.
And he will hopefully come back.
Is he out of form or is he just dropped off as a player?
But
like when do we
player and got those numbers though?
Yeah, I understand, but when do we start saying the Mane of 2 years ago is gone now? Like, he's just a different player. He maybe doesn't have that same goal scoring knack. Look, I love Mane, but I think we need to bring somebody in who can fully challenge him and maybe take over his spot like Jota has done to Firmino. Like, because for the last year, he was pretty dreadful. We can all agree. Like, he should have had double his goals. And this season, even though he scored 3 in the Prem, like, he should have had one yesterday. He should have had like a few against Crystal Palace. Like, it's not just simple. Like, it's not just like hard chances he's missing either. Like, he's missing some sitters, and that's not just Mane as well. Look, Salah missed 2 yesterday as well. But the difference is, you see Salah's frustration. He's angry at himself. Like, he's like punching the ground. He's like trying to rip his shirt off in anger. When Mane misses, he just turns around and laughs. Or when he's one-on-one and he's got Salah to the right of him, instead of passing it to Salah, he'll hit it at the goalkeeper's legs and then just laugh at Salah. Like, he annoys me when he does that, But I'm starting to think, like, when is the time where we stop saying he's out of form? And maybe he's just becoming less effective with his age.
Maybe. Can I add? I don't think it might sound like an unpopular opinion. I don't think Mane's even out of form. He had a stinker like December to whatever period, but when we needed him for the last 10 matches to get top 4, he was scoring. He scored the 2 against Crystal Palace last match of the season, and even like yesterday, he's the one who passed the ball to Salah to score that one-on-one. I think his decision making has to improve, but he's still getting in the right positions. And I'd rather have someone like him there than someone who I can't think of any.
Origi.
Exactly, Origi.
Origi scores that chance he missed yesterday. No doubt at all.
What chance did Mane have?
Origi doesn't get that position though. That's the thing. That's the frustrating thing. He's just lazy.
But can I add something else as well? I think Mane's finishing has been the problem. I don't think his all-round gameplay has been too bad. I think he's still creating the chances. He's still getting in those positions, but he just can't finish and isn't showing a clinical side at all.
Yeah, I think another massive thing he's stopped doing is running at players. He just doesn't run at players anymore. Never. And I don't know why. He didn't take anyone on yesterday and they were playing a 3 at the back. Like, I don't know why. His movement's still good. Obviously, he's not going to lose that. But as Anthony said, his decision-making's been dreadful, like, for a good 8 months now.
Yeah. Well, there we go. Mane, he's got improvements to do, but we'll see what happens. I'm sure he'll get a start against Porto. We'll go through the goals as for our second goal. Mohamed Salah, he's just inevitable at this point, isn't he, Ant?
Yeah, definitely. I think I hopped into the watch along halfway through to say Salah's had a stinker so far, but he's just one of those players. Like, I'm not saying he always plays bad, but even if he were to play bad, he'll just pop up with a goal anyway. And that's the kind of players we need up front. Salah, obviously, 100 goals though, just is crazy in 3 or 4 seasons. It's just insane, and probably the best forward in our club's history. I'm going to throw it out there, but yeah, I'd love to see him.
Ooh. I love the confidence. Chaza, Mo Salah.
Yeah, I mean, look, I'll try not to be negative, but he did miss like 2 chances after that. Oh, Chris has dropped out. I guess I'll just keep it going. Look, he missed chances. He missed that clear one where he's tried to dink it over the goalkeeper. He shouldn't have tried to dink it over the goalkeeper. He should have just slotted it in. Like, there was no reason for him to try and chip the goalkeeper. And if he scores that, we win. But the ball by Fabinho was unbelievable. Like, stupendous pass. And obviously, he's took it first time. And, like, David Raya has done well to get out there and get a bit of contact on it. But, yeah, I mean, look, Salah's probably going to be going for Player of the Year again. But I think this is a great example of Salah playing badly and still getting a goal, which I think he has over Mane.
Yeah, apologies. I accidentally just clicked the X button on my StreamYard tab. So, yeah, I'm back now. And the third goal, of course, Charlie's reaction, which you guys will see once again later in the watch-along highlights when we're going to release them, was pretty unbelievable. But I wonder what your reaction was, Owen, when you saw that fly into the top corner.
It just came out of nowhere, didn't it, really? I just saw Kurtis Jones come in. I was like, oh, what's he going to do? Is he going to pass it now? And I just see the ball in the net. It's unbelievable strike, really, but got a bit of a ricochet through. But yes, I want to see more from Kurtis Jones doing that. I've always said that I want to see Kurtis Jones cutting in and shooting because you've seen it in the academy. He's got that skill, and it's very, very rare.
Yeah. I can remember I was in the lower main stand when we played Everton in the FA Cup, and he put it in the absolute top bin. It was a beautiful angle to see it happen. But yeah, Anthony, Kurtis Jones's rocket.
He's unbelievable, Kurtis Jones. For his age as well, right? His shooting ability is just like incredible. I remember Henderson, right, in his earlier years of Liverpool, whenever he'd get those sort of chances, he'd just always sky them, wouldn't he? But with Kurtis Jones, there's always like belief he'll kind of score from those sort of situations. And I'd love to see more of him, to be honest. We were seeing Harvey Elliott, obviously, beginning of the season, so it shows Klopp trusts the younger players, and I'd like to see Kurtis Jones start for us a lot more.
I think the game against Norwich, he showed how good he really is, and he gained that trust to get a start on yesterday. Charlie, I don't think I've ever heard anyone go as high a pitch as you did when Kurtis Jones scored that goal. But what sort of a player could he be for Liverpool this season? Do you think he could be regular, as we've said, or when the players do come back in, he'll come back into that squad role?
Yeah, I mean, he played amazing yesterday. He was the one who was initiating the press every single time. The amount of times he won the ball back in midfield, he was doing Fabinho's job in that sense, stepping up and putting a foot in, and he got it right pretty much every time. And then the goal as well, obviously, you'll see by the reaction. It was, I think I went, have a shot, son. And then he just belted it in the top bin. But, like, I'm worse at matches, Chris, trust me. I reached decibels you've never heard. But, yeah, look, it was he had an amazing game. He was by far Liverpool's best player. I don't think anyone could argue that. The game, we absolutely dissolved when he took him off. It was a dreadful substitution by Klopp. Not a clue what he was thinking. If he wanted to change formation, then he should have just put Kurtis Jones in that Bobby role, especially when we just scored as well. So he can have absolutely no blame on that result yesterday. So, but he had an amazing goal. Obviously, as Owen said as well, we saw him do this in the Premier League too. obviously, I think he had 9 goals in like 14 games before he broke into the first team. So maybe we do start playing him like we were playing Harvey Elliott a bit. Obviously, he's not going to be as agile and as like tricky, but it might as well, especially with the fact that Thiago's now injured. Keita, God knows how long he's going to be out for. So yeah, why not? I'd like to see him play. He's played good the last 2 games. So
Another thing as well, right? Have you noticed like we're kind of a much more smoother going forward without Wijnaldum? I don't want to pick up.
Yeah,
Like, there's none of this. Oh, he's slowing the play down. Like with Curtis Jones there, it's just such fast-paced play, and that's what we love to see.
Yeah, and the thing is, people will be like, I completely agree with you. People will be like, oh, but we wouldn't have conceded them goals if Wijnaldum was playing. We would have, because Wijnaldum wouldn't have done nothing. The guy was useless, made up, he's gone. But yeah, I'm happy with changing the midfield system. I don't think the midfield was mainly a fault yesterday. I think Fabinho and Henderson were sort of ghosting the whole game. But again, maybe Fabinho could help Trent on the back post. But it's like, it's hindsight, isn't it? I think the blame lies on the defence, not the midfield from yesterday, and definitely not on Curtis Jones.
I want to raise this point. Last year, we played Leicester, Man City, and several other games, I think, where Curtis Jones started, and he was brought off, and then we capitulated. Is it a constant correlation, or is it just a pure coincidence, Owen?
I'd say, yeah, it's just a coincidence because obviously last season, I don't think you can say a lot, base a lot off last season because we lost so many players to injury. I don't want to bring back that excuse, but you've got to say it because we did. We had midfielders playing at centre-back, and I just don't think you can get over that. And now, yeah, obviously now we're missing players in midfield as well, like Thiago, Keita. Thiago, I think we missed massively yesterday. I think he would have been perfect for this sort of game, playing the balls over the top. But yeah, I think Curtis Jones definitely needs to get more minutes, definitely for in the Champions League, especially.
Anthony, I know. If Matty was here, he'd be saying it was all on Curtis Jones being taken off. But what are your opinions on that little stat?
It's just funny what Owen brought up, saying we had midfielders in centre back. It's actually crazy, isn't it? Like we were doing that last season. But I think the Leicester match, that was the main one. Against City, I said we were going to get battered anyway, even before the match, and they were doing us over. The goal we scored was a penalty, but yeah, he needs to stop taking him off. He was literally the best player on the pitch yesterday, so there was no reason to take him off. And like Charlie said, he could have played. That Firmino role yesterday, and maybe bring James Milner on. But I don't know. Yeah, just don't take him off.
Yeah. Let's talk about the substitutions because we only made one yesterday, and that was Firmino for Jones. Charlie, is there any other subs that you'd have liked to have seen being made?
Yeah, there's only one person in that situation that you put on as soon as we've scored and you want to take a midfielder off. The first thing you don't do is you don't put on Firmino. That's like the one thing. Him and Origi, you stay far away from then after we've went 3-2 up, and you put James Milner in. It's the only viable substitution that Klopp should have done yesterday, especially after we'd seen how dangerous Brentford were going forward. And as soon as Jones went off, we'd lost that midfield three, and Henderson and Fabinho, who were ghosting all game, just got ran through by 5 midfielders like we knew they would. It's always been Klopp's weakness, that substitutions, always being poor on subs. I know he's had, obviously, the more famous subs was obviously Wijnaldum for Robertson, but that was forced on by injuries, not on tactical with that. Like, it's always been a really weak point for Klopp. And that is another one yesterday that's going to go in the books of being a terrible substitution. I just can't get my head around the Firmino one, honestly. There's like 3 other picks there that you put on ahead of Firmino.
Yeah, it was slightly frustrating. I mean, I think I saw a tweet saying we could have maybe even brought on in the last few minutes Konate for set pieces. What would you thought of that, Owen?
Yeah, definitely. Just not Firmino. It just didn't make any sense, as Charlie said. Just why do you bring on an attacker when we've just gone 3-2 up? Obviously, you've seen the fact at the Brentford have brought to us the whole game, and you've gone and taken off one of our midfielders and brought on another attacker. It's like you've got to adapt and change to the situation, and I don't think Klopp's great at doing that at all. Have you seen? But yeah, Canate could have done well. Even James Milner, yeah, and anyone better than Firmino in that scenario.
Yeah, and I mean, Bobby didn't really do anything in the time that he was on the field. To finish off the chat on Brentford, Anthony, how much do you take from this? Do you think it's just a blip, or do you think that there were some serious issues raised from it?
I don't really think there's serious issues. It's just one of them matches. We saw it against Watford a couple of seasons ago. We got back at 3-0. But actually, one of the main focus points is maybe teams that play two forwards against us. We always struggle against them. Watford did it with Sarr and Deeney, and Brentford did it with Mbembo and Tony.
Yeah.
But also, we need to bring Tony to Liverpool. That's another thing as well. But yeah, I don't think we should care about it that much. It's just one of those matches.
Has this become a meme?
You started it.
I did start it, to be fair. I did, and I will continue. As I said on a tweet yesterday, I think Edam's an underrated cheese. I don't know if you boys are a fan of Dutch cheeses, but
I'm a boring cheese man. Honestly, I like my cheddar and mozzarella. That's
mozzarella, right?
Mozzarella for me.
Pasta sprinkled on pasta.
Oh mate, do you know what? I'm bad with cheese. I'll have like a bowl of pasta with like a bag of grated cheese.
Yeah, from Tesco, mate. The two for £3. Great uni advice here. So we've got Porto on Wednesday, I believe. Is it on Wednesday?
Tuesday.
It's on Tuesday, is it? Okay, so let's have a chat about that before we
go on Porto. Can I just say something about Brentford really quickly?
Go on, mate. Go on.
We aren't going to be the only team Brentford take points off. They're very impressive. They're regarding I think they'll probably take points off Chelsea or City, especially Chelsea. I think Chelsea are going to have a massive issue with them if they play the system how they do. Tony, very impressive, as Owen said as well. So, yeah, I'm not that worried. If it was somebody like Burnley, I'd be fuming that we drop points. But Brentford, look, destroyed Arsenal. I know it's a Mikel Arteta Arsenal, but it's a decent-ish team. It's a top 10 team. So I was impressed with Brentford. Yeah,
they are a good side. As you said, I think they're in contention for top 12 this year.
Yeah, easily. Yeah.
Whether they'll move on, but in terms of team selection for Porto, I know we'll do a predicted lineup tomorrow. But what are your thoughts, Anthony? Do you think that there'll be big changes from today, or do you think he'll go for just to give these players another chance to prove themselves?
I think there'll be a couple of changes with Tsimikas to take Robertson's place, and probably Gomez, I'd say, to replace Matty. The front three. Actually, you know what? I think Firmino will start as well. Maybe ahead of Mane. Maybe see Jota on the left wing or Firmino up front. That's what I just said.
Yeah.
But yeah. So I think Tsimikas, Gomez, and Bobby Firmino.
Yeah. Owen, we've got Manchester City on the weekend as well. How much do you think Klopp will be keeping an eye on that with his selection against Porto?
Yeah, I think he'll make a few changes. I like to see Minamino come in after what he did last week against Norwich. I definitely think he could do something against Porto. But yeah, I wouldn't expect to see too many, no major sort of, how do I put it, crisis, if you like, after one game. But yeah, Tsimikas will probably come in. Obviously, Robertson hasn't been in great form. So yeah, pretty basic, I think.
Yeah. And Chaz, what are you thinking?
I think there's going to be a few changes. I think Tsimikas is nailed on to be starting. I think he'll bring Konate in for Matip, test him out. If he does good, I can see him starting against City. I think Milner's going to be brought in for Henderson or Fabinho, and then Henderson drops deep. We're definitely going to see Curtis Jones play again. And then he might, who knows, drop Salah. Not Salah, drop Mane and play Minamino, like in that Firmino role. I think it's going to be a drastically changed team. But can I just say, me and Owen got the Brentford team spot on. So look at us go.
Well, there you go. Just a cheeky plug. No spot for Divock Origi?
I don't know who you'd drop. I don't think you can drop Salah, and I don't think you can drop Jota just because they've scored. And I think Minamino possibly comes in as a similar role that he played against Norwich.
Yeah. Anyway, we will be doing a predicted lineup stream tomorrow, I believe, if the game is on Tuesday. I am very, very spaced out with my dates at the moment because uni's starting. So, but yeah, we'll catch you in the next stream. Thank you very much for watching, everyone, and we will. This has been the LFC Transfer Stream. Subscribe, and we'll see you in the next one.